Well, interesting though, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in this room that are in the same boat as I am. You know, an OEMdealer.com website, and you can have a mobile dealer.com mobile, functionality. But it's just like you said, it lands on this little landing page, and you've got like basically all it is inventory, phone number, and that's really it's specials. That's your basic generic dealer.com.
In an imperfect world, mobile websites are still intermittent, okay? There are some really compelling products that are out there. Don't ignore focusing on a better quality mobile site that you can add as many pages as you want. This concept I talked about is this dynamic web technology, one website for all devices. These are some really cool things. We're still in our infancy. But remember one thing that Julio said and Anita said, a lot of these mobile ads, they just call. So even though your choices for landing pages are limited on mobile, and they will click, you're going to see 2 or 3 times as many calls than actual clicks. And so it takes the mobile site out. But while you're here, you got to look at all the players for mobile sites. And if you say my mobile site sucks, it's cheap, right? I mean, I hate to spend people's money, but if you think, yeah, our mobile site, someone wants to charge me $200 for a mobile site, well, yeah, okay. But if you're spending $1,000 or $2,000 on mobile search and it's converting like hell, would you upgrade to a better mobile site? You would do it all day long.
And just one thing I want to mention, we'll get into more of the tactical piece on how you develop a mobile strategy later on in the presentation. But one thing I want to say is it's better to be there and have something than to not be there at all and let your clicks and your calls go to your competitors. So even if you don't have the most amazing mobile website now, that's fine. If you have a few pages, okay, great, because you at least have something that's mobile friendly, that's going to convert, and you've got a mobile campaign showing your ad to those on their mobile device that are willing to call your dealership or look for your address. So before I go into the strategy, I just want to provide a little information on how the auto consumer uses mobile. 1 in 3 auto purchasers, excuse me. 1 in 3 auto purchasers use their mobile device throughout the mobile shopping or throughout the auto shopping process. So they don't just sit at home on their desktops or use their tablets. They use their mobile device to research, and they do use it in all stages of the funnels, though it is more useful towards the end. This is not automotive specific, but I think this, of course, makes sense in automotive when you have a brick and mortar dealership that you want to direct your possible auto shoppers to. 95% of smartphone users have looked for local information. So they are there on their mobile device. They are demanding this type of information. And not only do they use their mobile devices, but they research on them and they even use it to shop. They may even come in your dealership with their mobile device, and they may be looking for things on their mobile device while they're in your dealership. Auto shoppers also do a lot of different types of research on their mobile devices. So they call the dealership, that's obvious, they read reviews. They even watch an online video on their mobile devices. They search dealership inventory. There's a lot of things actually being done on mobile, more so than you may have originally thought. And some even rank mobile higher than test drives. So mobile is a very, very useful research tool. And in the studies that we've done and the auto purchaser that we've interviewed to get this information, some have even said that mobile has been more useful than actually doing a test drive. And as I mentioned, they use mobile at every single stage of the funnel. So it's important to be on and be there 24/7, to have a separate mobile-only campaign to direct to the mobile website, because maybe sometimes they just want to look at your inventory page, and maybe towards the end of the funnel, they're actually going to call you or look at directions and come visit your dealership. So just remember that if you're not there, the OEM is, your competitors are there. In Vegas, there appeared to be Chapman Vegas was there. If you've gotten a dealership in Vegas, and there's one that already took your spot.
And Anita, I just want to make a point. You'll be surprised that even for searches on a mobile device for your name, the OEM is running a mobile campaign. I don't know if that pisses you off, but you know, I always thought that the OEM should do negative keywords, meaning they can buy anything BMW, but in my market don't buy, you know, Chapman BMW. Okay? Their response is, listen, dealers, I can't control their spending. We have to be there to block and tackle our brand. And I believe there's a lot of diverted leads on mobile shoppers because you've not budgeted, the OEM is there, and based on where they are at that moment in that zip code, that may be going to you and another competitor, depending on the OEM round robin rules or where it goes. So don't say, well, it's okay that the OEM is there, right? Do we agree that we want to defend our name, not only on desktop, but mobile? We can't allow the OEM to be the arbiter of where leads go in our local market.
I obviously don't have an opinion on that, as Google supports both parties. So we're just going to continue. Another thing that I want to mention about mobile and how it really is complementary to your search campaigns is that mobile also spikes at times that we're away from our desks, from our computers. So on the weekends, you're out and about, you're test driving, you're running errands. It's a great time that you pull out your mobile device and you're looking for a dealership. During lunchtime, when you're at work, you're away from your computer, you're out for lunch, you're searching for things on your mobile device. Mobile is a constant companion. We wake up, we check our email, we go to bed, we check our email, we check text messages. It's always with us, and we want to just really take advantage of that fact and of the fact that people are using their mobile devices in the research and the shopping process by having a mobile strategy.
And one addition here, if the entrepreneurial brains are clicking here, if Google's saying on the weekends the mobile traffic bumps up, are we making sure we don't run out of mobile budget on the weekends? Do you know that on the weekends you could run different ads? If Julio's correct in his assumption that in that last 24 to 48 hours, mobile ads were the right call to action, wouldn't it be cool to tell your provider on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, if you're open Sunday, I want my mobile ads to definitely be more of come in, drive in, or minute. You get the idea? If that's the spike, right? These are people on the move. Wouldn't it be really crappy if every weekend you're running out of budget and just as the mobile traffic spikes? Or if you just said, hey, people are just shopping uniformly all week? They're not. So sweet spots are obviously shown here. The question is, as entrepreneurs, are you going to leverage the data trend? Don't fight the tape. Maximize it for in-store driving, in-store appointments. And this is a great strategy.
And just to get a little bit tactical, it's great to have an always-on strategy, but there's things that you can do in AdWords to bump up your budget on the weekends, show different ads on the weekends, or even do that just maybe for lunchtime when people are out driving around on the weekday. So definitely have an always-on strategy, but you can make it more precise and just to really capture that more qualified traffic. It's possible to do that.
On the report, or should they be giving you a report? Because I can see a report that tells me which one is on the weekends, which ones are on the weekdays, and sometimes this is what I learned by error on dollars on our side, is that what they were doing is they were maximizing it, and at the end of the month, they were shooting it all because they were trying to grab all your money at the end of the month. So, and I learned that the hard way because I didn't know that before. They didn't do a lot at the beginning, and then all of a sudden, at the end, all the money was going at the end. And if they show you that report more frequently, you see that, and you know exactly what you're doing with your money, correct?
Definitely. I mean, definitely work, if you're working with somebody from Google directly, I'm sure they are showing you results constantly, but if you're working with a partner, make sure that you're getting in touch with them weekly, at least monthly, to look at your results, to look at when you're getting the most clicks, and from what channel. And also just looking at how everything is performing. And not to get too much into display here, but another important point to make is you have to recognize that not everything will behave the same way, and depending on what market you're in, search may be better, maybe mobile's better. So just kind of keeping that in mind that all these different parts are integral to the strategy, but they may have different results depending on where you are and what kind of product you're selling. So just really quickly going over mobile, very precise targeting, tracking. You can track everything, track your results in AdWords through the partner's platform that you're using, the clicks, calls. You can track all of this, which keywords are performing really well, which keywords are not performing really well. And then of course attribution. So what do you really want the shopper to do? Typically, this is more for auto manufacturers, but I think it also applies for dealers. Scheduling a test drive, driving to the dealer, going to see the dealership. Those are the things that you want the shopper to do. So having a mobile strategy actually helps you achieve these goals. Because at the end of the day, it's about you selling more cars. And mobile will help you do that. As I mentioned before, and as Brian mentioned, mobile is about 20% of the auto search market right now, but we only expect to see that number rise. So just as mobile is about 20% of the search market, make sure you're allocating at least 20% of your budget. That being said, that's not a final number. You may want to allocate more or a little bit less depending on how much you actually have in digital, but making sure that you're shifting enough funds there is really important to actually seeing results from a mobile campaign. If you're giving it like $100 a month, yeah, you're not going to see anything. You're bidding for very small real estate, so it might be a little bit more expensive at the beginning, and you might not just get enough traffic. And I've had a lot of people ask me, why doesn't it work? Well, you've got to customize your ads, you've got to increase your bids, and you've got to make sure you're allocating a decent amount of budget to it.
So I put this slide together. It's pretty amazing how little attention franchise dealers are to try to use digital marketing for fixed ops. I mean, as a show of hands, how many of you feel that your dealership is not leveraging fully digital marketing for fixed ops? We're not doing it, right? Okay. Our most profitable center. One of the things that you'll, and Julio from Haystack is here, and one of the providers, SMB partners with Google. I mean, think about this. If you were at the awards ceremony last night, there's some amazing plugins to websites that can transform your dealership into a fire center and other things, literally overnight. Just plug in and sell 300% more tires. Well, if you have your website merchandised, then why wouldn't you buy keyword discount tires and show up in those 2 ads with a click-to-call, price competitive, get that car on the list. Batteries, oil change, you all know what those common services are. In this marketplace that we're seeing in mobile, a lot of your competitors aren't there. Will they smarten up over the next year or two? But this could be like the wild, wild west when search, when a lot of dealers were not in. So towing, I mean, how many people have a towing business? I mean, are you there? Buy here, pay here, I want you to just rethink, go back, take out your smartphone, and think of all your business centers. Do a couple searches. If you're not in those first 2 ads with a click-to-call number, this is gold. So how much gold, and we'll talk to this, but those mobile ads are converting 300 or 400% better than desktop ads. The question is, do you want to be there or not? And if you want to grow your business, people say, anybody have a hard time finding good quality used cars at the right price? How about maximizing that service drive, using mobile to get more service, then use an equity mining tool when their car's on that lift, if you sold that car or not, present them with an offer, get that trade at a high gross, get them in the new car, you have a happy customer, now you have a high quality used car, and you have every piece of the transaction covered. You want more? Think about this mobile targeting strategy for every aspect of your business.
And just to enforce that, we've done some segmentation data where we looked at different geographies. We found that there's still a lot of opportunity with mobile in a lot of these geographies, and the market isn't saturated yet. So, make sure you're there, make sure you're in some of these markets that you are the pioneers. Again, just more data on how people use the web. This is kind of, again, that quote that I brought up at the beginning, choosing not to do mobile is like arbitrarily choosing not to do business on some days. There's really that very qualified traffic that you want to capture in the most efficient way possible. And to do that, you've got to have a very tactical mobile strategy. So this is the part we'll talk about what you can do to effectively capture mobile. So the first thing to do is to make sure you opt into mobile separately. You create a separate ad campaign that just targets mobile. And then, of course, make sure you don't forget to change your first campaign so that it's only opted into desktop and laptop, because I've seen them being left on and they're somehow competing with each other. After you do that, yes?
Question. Those two sheets are obviously the paid search, right? What dictates what position I'm on? I notice whether you're on a desktop or you're on mobile, there's, what is it, three spots up top on a regular desktop and then like 6 on the right side?
Yeah, 8 on the right side.
8 on the right side. What dictates what position you get? Obviously, is it the quality of the actual ad pertaining to the quality of the quality score when you build the Adwords campaign?
It's a formula. So yeah, it's the CPC times the quality score. And the quality score really takes into account how relevant your ad is, how relevant that user search query is to your ad, how relevant your ad is to your website. So if your ad says something completely different than the landing page you're being taken to, you're going to fail. And then, of course, it also takes into account the click-through rate. So how many clicks has that ad gotten is a great click-through rate, has been viewed a lot but also clicked a lot. And also the last piece of it is just how original, how relevant, how transparent, how clear your website is. So it's a combination of all of these things.
And so is there anything in advance before you actually place that paid search to know, other than the quality score, the rating, right? Is there any way to make sure that you actually populated in one spot in the paid search area?
So you can just do your best to build a strong ad campaign. There's no way to guarantee a placement.
So quality score is 1 to 10?
Yes.
Okay, so 10 being the highest quality.
Yeah, and it's really hard to get that. If you're in the 5 to 7 range, that's pretty good.
Okay.
And also just to let you know, quality score isn't the end-all be-all. It's just one of the factors. So I've seen times where there's been a really high click-through rate, but a really low quality score. And we have no idea. There's a little, secret algorithm to it that I don't know. The Google engineers will, I'm sure, not tell anyone. 5 people on this planet will probably know. So you have to take into account a lot of different factors, but just building the strongest ad campaign that you can will affect that. If you have really strong ads with clear call to action, if you've done extensions, you'll definitely boost your ad rank. If you're bidding appropriately, if you're targeting the right geography, the right set of users, then you'll definitely will help you get to these top spots. And on mobile, that's why it's really important to bid very aggressively when you start, because you don't have a lot of history, you just started the campaign. But if you bid aggressively, it'll help you get to these top spots, and from there on, your cost will decrease.
I'm assuming that if you,
No, fine.
assuming that if you're going back to the desktop, if you have a low quality score and you're on the right side, and you said there's 8 spots on the right side, and you're number 4 or 5 on the right side. Personally, I don't ever put on the right side. Until today, I've never put on the right side. Does that percentage drop dramatically from being in a 1 or 2 spot in paid search or number 3 versus being on the right side? Those numbers drop off dramatically?
What do you mean by that?
In terms of the consumer actually saying, okay, I'm going to click here on the right side. As far as I'm concerned, I don't click anything on paid search on the right side.
So it's interesting. Actually, we've got some companies that bid exclusively for the spots on the right side because they are cheaper, and you do still get some traffic. So people actually do still click on the right side ads. I know myself that I've done it. That being said, I don't know what the differences are. It really just kind of depends on your account, your history, and where you are. ideally, though, we'd be bidding for the top spots.
All right, thanks.
So started talking about extensions. After you've separated your mobile campaign, you've started to write mobile-specific ad copy, and you've increased your budgets and your bids. Another thing that you want to do, it's easy to do, and it just gets you great results, is doing extensions. An extension is just adding a piece of relevant business information to the ad copy. So, for example, this first one, this shows us site links. So, site links are just additional links that are kind of embedded in the ad that lead to more specific pages. So I know when I see one of those ads, especially on my desktop computer, I definitely click on this more specific link, because actually I'm looking for, I just want to go directly to the Honda inventory page. I don't want to go to the dealer website. And we've seen, site links, ads that have site links with a CTR of 11%, which is huge. Typical CTR is around 2%.
Is
So
that as easy as just checking the box on your campaign to get the site links on there? Or?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. You just have to add the URLs in there, and they are applied at the campaign level. So every ad in that campaign has the eligibility to show site links. Now, keep in mind, because of the way the auction works, site links won't show every single time your ad is run, but within AdWords, you can see the reporting. You can see how many clicks actually went to the site link versus your headline.
And someone asked a question, broad, where do you send people for a broad term like Honda dealer, okay? So can you see how cool a site link mobile ad is if it said new cars, used cars, service? So on the mobile device, you could say, remember, you also want to segment your ad groups within your mobile campaigns, and so you may say broad match keywords. Honda dealer, okay? And you're not really sure what they're looking for. Can you see how the site links, the 3 most popular areas, new, used, service, how that really caters to somebody with a small screen? They're not dicking around with your mobile site. Right there, you're in. That's another New Jersey term for wasting time. But you get the idea. These extensions are super important for people who say, I want to maximize my digital spend. This is why we're having the courses. Some of you may not even know that you can check these boxes and have more effective mobile ads.
How many mobile extensions can you have?
So you can have, let's see, yeah, I guess up to 3. You don't have them all show up at the same time. That would just be impossible. But you can technically put all site links in that campaign, and every time the auction is run, an ad will either show up with the site link by itself or with a different site link.
What about desktop?
So on desktop, you can also do all the same site links, plus you can do a few more. Earlier we talked about a social extension, adding the +1 button. You can do that. You can technically add all of these to your campaign, and just depending on how the auction is. I would say definitely make sure you add site links to your desktop campaign. On your desktop ads, you can have up to 11. I think it was well, maybe it's 8 or 11. I'm going to go back and check that number. So you can get very specific, and you can get very targeted traffic that way. Yes.
What effect does browser have? Now Chrome on iPad, iPhone, more people can sign into Google when they're searching. What effect does that have on AdWords?
Wow, that's a very broad question. With this specifically, it wouldn't have any effect. I guess the only really big thing I can think of, and again, for a separate conversation, is just it might make your retargeting, it'll make it more effective if you're signed in, and of course if you, by default, clear your cookies, or you're using the new version of Internet Explorer, it'll be just a lot more difficult to track you around the web. And of course, the second extension I want to mention, which is really powerful for mobile, is click to call. Just adding your phone number. You don't have to have it as part of your ad text, so you're not wasting the ad text. You can add your phone number in there as an extension, and more likely than not, your ad will show up with that extension if it's got great performance. And I know that some of you may be doing this through Google. Some people have call metrics, separate tracking solution. But either way, it's really important to have that phone number in the ad copy. And then the last piece of it is the location extension. It's just kind of showing where the little map and the address of that dealership. Really important. So that's kind of it on mobile search. Does anybody have any questions?
Mobile app extension.
That's where we're going.